There is a lesson that separates emotionally strong individuals from those who remain controlled by circumstances. It is not the absence of emotion that makes someone powerful. It is the ability to experience emotion without allowing it to rule their decisions. Every person faces criticism, rejection, disappointment, and misunderstanding. The difference lies in how they respond. One person reacts immediately, giving every situation the power to disturb their peace. Another pauses, observes, and chooses their response carefully. Over time, that single habit changes the direction of an entire life. Emotional control is the foundation of real power because it allows you to remain in command of yourself, regardless of what is happening around you. Many people believe power comes from influence, wealth, status, or the ability to dominate others, but none of these qualities can create lasting strength if a person cannot govern their own emotions. Human nature is deeply reactive. When someone insults you, ignores your efforts, questions your abilities, or challenges your beliefs, your first instinct is often to respond immediately. Anger demands expression, fear encourages retreat, and pride seeks to defend itself. These reactions are natural, but they also reveal how easily circumstances can control your behavior. Every impulsive response places your emotional state in the hands of someone else. True power begins when you recognize that while you cannot control every event, you can always choose how you respond to it. Emotional control does not require pretending that disappointment, frustration, or sadness do not exist. Instead, it requires acknowledging those emotions without allowing them to dictate your decisions. This creates a valuable pause between feeling and action. Within that pause lies wisdom. Rather than reacting automatically, you evaluate the situation, consider the consequences, and act according to your principles. Human psychology naturally respects individuals who remain calm during moments of pressure because composure reflects confidence and self-discipline. A person who stays balanced while others lose control demonstrates an inner stability that cannot be easily shaken. Emotional control also protects you from manipulation. People who understand your emotional triggers can often influence your behavior if you respond without awareness. However, when your reactions become thoughtful instead of impulsive, you reclaim authority over your own life. Relationships become healthier because conversations are guided by understanding rather than anger. Professional decisions become wiser because temporary emotions no longer determine long-term choices. Personal confidence grows stronger because your peace is built upon self-mastery instead of external approval. Every challenge becomes an opportunity to strengthen your discipline rather than weaken your resolve. Over time, emotional control becomes more than a skill. It becomes part of your character. Others begin to trust your judgment because they know your actions are not driven by unpredictable emotions. By mastering your inner world before attempting to influence the outer one, you develop a quiet strength that remains steady through praise, criticism, success, failure, uncertainty, and change, proving that the greatest form of power is not controlling other people, but consistently maintaining control over yourself. One of the greatest forms of freedom is refusing to let other people dictate your emotional state. Every day you encounter individuals whose words, actions, or opinions have the potential to influence how you feel. Some offer praise that fills you with confidence, while others express criticism that leaves you questioning your worth. If your emotions constantly rise and fall according to these external influences, then your inner peace is no longer your own. Human nature naturally seeks acceptance and fears rejection, but allowing these instincts to govern your life gradually places your happiness under the control of circumstances you cannot manage. Real emotional strength begins when you recognize that while you cannot control another person's behavior, you can always control your response. This does not mean becoming indifferent or pretending that hurtful experiences have no impact. It means refusing to allow temporary events to determine your long-term peace of mind. Someone may misunderstand your intentions, speak unfairly about you, or fail to appreciate your efforts. These situations are often unavoidable. What remains within your control is whether you allow them to dominate your thoughts for hours, days, or even years. Human psychology tends to magnify negative experiences because the mind instinctively focuses on perceived threats. Without awareness, a single careless comment can overshadow dozens of positive experiences. Emotional discipline interrupts this pattern by reminding you that another person's opinion is not the final authority on your identity. Your values, actions, and character carry far greater weight than passing judgments. This mindset also protects you from manipulation. People can only use your emotions against you when they know your reactions are predictable. When you remain calm, thoughtful, and guided by principle rather than impulse, their attempts to provoke you lose much of their influence. Relationships become healthier because you communicate with patience instead of reacting from wounded pride or fear. Decisions become wiser because they are based on reason rather than emotional pressure. Confidence grows naturally because your sense of worth is no longer dependent upon constant approval or reassurance. Over time, you discover that genuine peace is not created by controlling everyone around you, but by mastering the way you respond to whatever life places before you. By refusing to let others dictate your emotional state, you build resilience, strengthen your independence, and create a steady confidence that remains rooted in your own character instead of in the unpredictable opinions and behavior of those around you. Calmness is one of the most underestimated forms of strength because it makes you difficult to predict and even more difficult to manipulate. Human nature expects immediate emotional reactions. When someone criticizes you, they often anticipate that you will defend yourself. When they provoke you, they expect anger. When they ignore you, they expect you to chase their attention. These predictable patterns allow other people to influence your behavior because they already know how you are likely to respond. The moment your emotions become predictable, your decisions become easier for others to anticipate. Calmness breaks this pattern. It creates uncertainty because people can no longer rely on emotional triggers to control your actions. This does not mean becoming cold or emotionally distant. It means developing the discipline to pause before reacting, allowing reason to guide your choices instead of temporary feelings. A calm person listens more than they argue, observes more than they assume, and responds only after considering the situation carefully. Human psychology naturally respects this kind of composure because it reflects confidence rather than insecurity. Someone who remains balanced during moments of tension appears stable, thoughtful, and trustworthy. Calmness also gives you a significant advantage in decision making. Emotional reactions often narrow your perspective, causing you to focus only on immediate discomfort. A calm mind, however, can recognize opportunities, understand motives, and evaluate consequences with greater clarity. Instead of becoming consumed by anger or fear, you remain focused on what truly matters. This habit strengthens relationships as well. During disagreements, your composure reduces unnecessary conflict and encourages more productive conversations. Instead of escalating tension with impulsive words, you create space for understanding and thoughtful communication. Calmness also protects your confidence because it prevents other people's behavior from determining your emotional state. You no longer feel compelled to respond to every criticism, justify every decision, or seek approval from everyone around you. Your peace comes from knowing that your actions are guided by principles rather than by pressure. Over time, this emotional stability becomes part of your character. Others notice that you are not easily shaken by setbacks, praise, criticism, or uncertainty. They recognize that your confidence is built upon self-control instead of external validation. By choosing calmness over impulsive reaction, you become less predictable to those who seek to influence you and more dependable to those who value your presence, creating a quiet strength that earns respect improves judgment, and allows your actions to be directed by wisdom instead of emotion. Silence is often mistaken for weakness because many people believe strength is measured by how quickly they respond, how forcefully they defend themselves, or how convincingly they explain their position. Yet silence, when chosen deliberately, is one of the strongest forms of self-control. Human nature expects immediate reactions. An insult invites anger, criticism demands a defense, and misunderstanding creates the urge to explain every detail. While these responses may feel justified, they often reveal more emotion than wisdom. Every unnecessary reaction gives another person access to your attention and emotional energy. Silence interrupts this pattern by allowing you to remain in control of yourself instead of becoming controlled by the situation. This does not mean avoiding important conversations or refusing to communicate honestly. There are moments when speaking clearly is necessary to protect your values, resolve conflict, or express the truth. However, many situations do not require endless explanations. Some people are not seeking understanding. They are seeking a reaction. The more you argue with someone who has already decided not to listen, the more energy you surrender without changing the outcome. Human psychology naturally notices those who remain composed while others become emotional. Calm silence communicates confidence because it shows that your self-worth is not dependent on winning every argument or receiving immediate approval. Silence also creates space for observation. Instead of filling every moment with words, you begin paying closer attention to other people's behavior, motives, and patterns. You notice inconsistencies that would otherwise be missed if you were focused only on defending yourself. This awareness leads to wiser decisions because you respond to reality rather than to emotion. In relationships, silence can prevent unnecessary damage by allowing frustration to settle before difficult conversations take place. It protects you from saying words that cannot be taken back and encourages communication based on thought instead of impulse. Professionally, it demonstrates maturity because thoughtful responses often carry more weight than hurried opinions. Over time, silence becomes more than the absence of speech. It becomes evidence of emotional discipline, patience, and confidence. People begin to recognize that your strength does not depend on constant explanation or emotional displays. By choosing silence when it serves wisdom, instead of reacting to every provocation, you protect your energy, preserve your dignity, strengthen your judgment, and allow your actions to speak with greater authority than unnecessary words ever could, proving that true strength is often revealed not by how much you say, but by knowing precisely when saying nothing is the wiser choice. True confidence is not created by constant praise, admiration, or approval from other people. It is built quietly through the relationship you develop with yourself. Many people unknowingly place their self-worth in the hands of others. A compliment makes them feel valuable, while a single criticism causes them to question everything about themselves. This creates an unstable foundation because public opinion is constantly changing. Human nature is unpredictable. The same people who celebrate your success today may ignore it tomorrow, and those who criticize you today may later admire your achievements. If your confidence depends on these changing opinions, your emotional state will always remain uncertain. Genuine confidence grows from evidence that you create through your own actions. Every promise you keep to yourself, every challenge you overcome, every disciplined habit you maintain, and every difficult decision you make according to your values becomes proof that you can trust yourself. This type of confidence cannot be given by another person because it is earned through consistent behavior. Human psychology naturally respects individuals whose self-belief remains steady regardless of external circumstances. They do not need to announce their value because it is reflected in the way they carry themselves, make decisions, and handle adversity. Praise becomes something they appreciate but never depend upon. Criticism becomes something they evaluate rather than automatically accept. If feedback contains truth, they learn from it. If it is unfair or motivated by negativity, they allow it to pass without allowing it to define their identity. This mindset creates emotional stability because your sense of worth is no longer attached to every opinion you encounter. Relationships also become healthier because you stop seeking constant reassurance from others. You enjoy appreciation when it comes, but you no longer require it to feel complete. You begin making choices based on your principles instead of on the desire to impress people. This freedom strengthens your character because your actions are guided by integrity rather than by fear of rejection. Over time, your confidence becomes quiet, calm, and dependable. It remains steady during success because it is not inflated by praise, and it remains steady during failure because it is not destroyed by criticism. By building inner confidence that rests on discipline, self-respect, and personal growth instead of the changing opinions of others, you develop a strength that endures through every challenge and allows your character, rather than public approval, to become the true measure of your worth. One of the greatest differences between emotionally mature people and those who are easily controlled is the ability to respond with purpose rather than with impulse. Human beings are naturally emotional. When someone insults you, your instinct may be to argue. When you experience rejection, you may feel the urge to chase what has been lost. When faced with criticism, your first reaction may be to defend yourself immediately. While these responses are understandable, they often place temporary emotions in control of long-term decisions. Impulse is fast, emotional, and reactive. Purpose is thoughtful, patient, and guided by clear values. Every impulsive decision sacrifices future wisdom for present emotion. In contrast, every purposeful response creates an opportunity to act with clarity instead of regret. Human psychology often rewards those who can pause before acting because this pause allows reason to replace emotional urgency. Instead of reacting to every situation the moment it occurs, emotionally disciplined people observe, reflect, and ask themselves whether their next action will improve the situation or merely satisfy a temporary feeling. This habit strengthens judgment because decisions become based on principles rather than moods. Responding with purpose also protects you from manipulation. Many people intentionally or unintentionally attempt to influence your emotions. They may provoke anger, seek attention through conflict, or encourage fear and self-doubt. If your reactions are automatic, others can predict and influence your behavior with surprising ease. However, when your responses are deliberate, their attempts to control your emotions lose much of their power. Relationships also become healthier because purposeful responses reduce unnecessary arguments and encourage respectful communication. Instead of speaking words you later regret, you choose conversations that create understanding and solutions. Professionally, this discipline improves leadership because calm, intentional decisions inspire greater trust than emotional reactions. Personally, it builds confidence because you begin trusting your own judgment rather than your changing emotions. Over time, acting with purpose becomes part of your identity. You stop allowing frustration, excitement, fear, or pride to make important decisions on your behalf. Instead, your choices consistently reflect your long-term goals, your personal values, and your commitment to growth. People begin to recognize that your behavior remains steady even during difficult moments because it is guided by wisdom rather than impulse. By choosing thoughtful action over automatic reaction, you develop emotional resilience, strengthen your character, and create a life directed by intention instead of circumstance, proving that true power belongs not to those who react the fastest, but to those who respond with the greatest purpose and self-control.